Welcome back to the double feature. You already know the drill by now. 2 games, 1 video, yada yada yada. I don't need to keep explaining this every single time we do a video like this. This double feature is probably going to be on the shorter side, however, as a lot of the games that I plan on covering in this video are a lot tinier compared to some of the other games that I've been showing off in this particular series. The games that we're going to be covering in this video are 2 Flash-based browser games, those being Criss Bombs and another game called Satellite Catch. Now these 2 games have something in common, not just the fact that they're all browser-based Flash games, but also they were made by the same developer. Now some of my longtime viewers are probably well aware that over the past few years or so now, I've covered a handful of freeware titles from a very specific Japanese indie game developer known as ABA Games, real name Kenta Cho. And also if you are a longtime viewer of my channel, you probably already know where exactly this video is heading. Indeed, we're gonna be covering more of his games today. Now, I have joked in the past about how it's basically become a yearly tradition for me to at least do 1 video a year covering some of the projects that Kenta Cho has worked on. And the only other games from Kenta Cho that I have left to cover on the channel are some of the browser-based games that he put out throughout 2014. I mentioned in the randomizer video that I did last year, which also happened to be a themed video where I was covering more of Kenta Cho's works, that Kenta Cho had created 50 browser-based games in the year 2014 alone. Now, I didn't say that I was going to cover every single browser-based game that he has released, but I did mention that I would try to cover at least a few of them. And the reason why I only cover his games once on a yearly basis is because I just don't want my channel to become oversaturated with videos of his games in particular. Which is why I've chosen to limit myself to doing these kinds of videos once a year, and it has been almost exactly a year since I did the last randomizer video in which I covered more of his browser-based games. I did that randomizer video in April of 2019, and it is now April of 2020, so, you know what that means. Indeed, it's time to cover more of Kenta Cho's games, but we're only going to be covering 2 this time, because I don't really do randomizer videos anymore. Now, as with most of Kenta Cho's browser-based games, these are all mostly score attack games where the only real objective is to rack up as many points as possible. Not unlike the other games that I've shown off in the previous randomizer video. The scores are not saved automatically in any of his browser-based games, which means you pretty much have to keep track of your high scores manually. You have to basically write down all of your high scores, so that way you'll remember the highest score that you've actually gotten in that particular game. So with that being said, the first game that we're going to cover here is called Criss Bombs. So in this game, you are controlling a tiny vehicle that can shoot bullets out of itself, and the objective is to destroy all of these bombs that you see on the screen. The bombs are represented by these red rectangles, and as you can see, all of the bombs are oriented either horizontally or vertically, and that will clue you in as to where the explosion from said bomb is going to travel in. So if the bombs are aligned horizontally, then the explosion will move on a horizontal axis, and bombs that are arranged vertically will move on a vertical axis, so in other words, they will move upwards. Well, upwards and downwards, because the explosions actually move in 2 different directions. The closest thing that I can compare this to is Bomberman, I would say, even though this game is really not like Bomberman at all. But the overall objective here is to try and rack up chain reactions, because if you set off a bomb and the explosion reaches another bomb on the grid, it will also cause that bomb to detonate, and you can get a whole bunch of chain reactions going if you're smart with it. Setting off chain reactions can cause your multiplier to grow, which will award you even more points. So in other words, you have to keep the chain reaction going if you want the multiplier to continue increasing. I don't remember the exact score that I managed to get when I played this game off screen, but I do know that scores of 10,000 are definitely possible, because I have managed to achieve over 10,000 points in this game at least once. Also, you do need to avoid these purple squares as well, because the purple squares can stop the explosions dead in their tracks. I do believe it is also possible to destroy the purple squares by simply shooting at them too. Also, you have to try and avoid crashing into the bombs yourself, because because that can kill you. The explosions themselves can kill you too, also similar to Bomberman, and if you crash into the purple squares, that will also result in your death. It'll be a lot easier if I just show you how exactly the gameplay is, so with that being said, let's just begin here. So you do have this little vehicle right here, and the vehicle does move on its own. You can also move around on the grid here by using the left and right arrow keys. You can also accelerate by holding down the up arrow key as well, if you just want to, you know, move along a little bit quicker. You can press the Z or X keys to fire, and also the enter key, because that works too. For whatever reason, firing bullets also causes you to start moving a lot quicker. I'm not entirely sure what that's all about. But as you can see, the way that this game plays is that you have to detonate these bombs by shooting at them, and you'll notice that I'm creating some chain reactions right here, because as the explosions from the bombs moves outwards, they can also end up colliding with other bombs and causing them to detonate, and then as you can see, you get a whole bunch of points from that. So as I've stated before, you want to create chain reactions here because it will result in a multiplier. So I got like an x3, x4, x5, oh my god, x8, seriously? So I'm still not entirely sure how this game works, because I only played this game off screen for maybe 10 minutes last night. But I think the way that this works is that you want the explosion, like if you're trying to detonate a horizontally oriented bomb, if you want to get a multiplier going, you have to make the horizontally oriented explosion collide with a vertically oriented bomb. And that's how you end up getting points. Also, I wasn't paying attention there and I just ended up dying. But yeah, for instance, as you can see, vertical bomb, horizontal bomb, so if I cause this to detonate, yeah, then it gives me an x2 multiplier. So that's effectively how this game works. So in order to rack up multipliers here, you have to make the explosions detonate bombs that are oriented a little bit differently. I don't know, it's really hard to explain, but as you can see, I'm getting a lot of, like, really large multipliers right here, like I got x9 right there. The game does get progressively more difficult as it goes on. Eventually, the entire screen is just gonna get filled with bombs, which can provide an opportunity for obtaining a lot of points, but at the same time, it also makes the game almost impossible to play because there's almost no space to move around anywhere, so you do need to be careful. Oh my goodness, dude. Holy crap. Yeah, I have to really be careful for these explosions as well, because I also have no idea where exactly these explosions are gonna travel either. So I have to think about that ahead of time. Holy crap. Well, I almost cleared out the entire screen by doing that. I'm almost at 2,000 points already. Yeah, see? Like, this is a good opportunity right over here because there's so many bombs in the way now. That was a really good dodge as well. Yeah, and the game begins doing this, like, very quickly. Like, there's not a lot of time that actually passes before the game starts filling up the entire screen with bombs. And holy crap, man. I think I got, like, an 18 multiplier right there. Goodness gracious. Yeah, so you kind of have to just judge where exactly the explosions are going, because, yeah, the explosion can move either up or down or left and right. Yeah, so make sure that the explosion doesn't come into contact with yourself, because that can indeed kill you. I'm not sure where exactly I should go right now. I think I'm just gonna move upwards. Oh my god, dude, yeah. See, this is exactly what I mean. You barely have any space to go. At the same time, it's also a very massive opportunity for getting points here. Yeah, the more spaces on the grid that the explosions fill up, that will also reward you with a lot more points. So the more time that you're able to keep the explosion on the screen, that also gets you more points too. As long as there is an explosion occurring on the screen, you'll rack up points from it. Because you'll notice that, yeah, whenever the explosion moves down or up on the grid, you also earn points from it. So you earn points from the explosion simply existing on the screen. So that's pretty much how you rack up points here. My goodness, dude, I'm already at 7,500. Yeah, in some ways it becomes a lot easier to get a much higher score later on, but at the same time, man, you got, like, barely any space to move around here. Splice? I don't know what exactly splice is, but yeah, look at this, for goodness sakes. There's not really anything else to say about this game, though. I mean, this is pretty much the entire game right here, but as with some of Kenta Cho's other browser-based games, everything that you see in this game is randomly generated. So the placement of all the bombs and the squares, like all the other blockades and what have you, they're all randomized. So they won't be in the same position every single time you play the game. So there's definitely replay value here. It is definitely one of his more, like, arcade-style games. Holy crap, man. Let's see if I can get a score of 10,000 here. Holy crap, I have to be careful for the explosions, though. Oh yeah, there we go, we're at 10,000, holy crap, yeah. I mean, admittedly, this game can be a little bit easy, maybe a bit too easy at times if you know what you're doing. And that mostly has to do with the fact that, yeah, eventually the game's level generator starts doing stuff like this, where, yeah, the entire screen's just getting filled with bombs. Okay, I have to try and navigate this very carefully now because, okay, well... So much for navigating it carefully. I didn't have any space to move around. Yeah, but you'll see that eventually the screen just starts filling up with bombs and other sorts of like blockades right here, like these stupid purple squares. I almost killed myself right there, by the way. Yeah, but even though it's giving you so many bombs to destroy, you can still wind up in sticky situations where you don't really have anywhere to go, because yeah, you can destroy a bomb, but if it's vertically oriented, then the explosion's gonna come directly at you, and you're basically gonna be trapped at that point, because you're gonna have no place to go. You're gonna have no choice but to get annihilated by the explosion, because you can't move anywhere else, so you just have to accept your fate, pretty much. It's still a fun game for what it is, but as I've stated before, there really is nothing else to it. I could still try to play a couple more rounds before we move on to the next game. And once again, I did want to choose some much tinier games to show off in today's double feature, due to the fact that, again, I've been putting out a lot of extremely long videos, like the video that I put out on In Other Waters just a couple days ago is like over an hour and a half long, so I just want to make up for it by putting out some shorter videos. That's all there is to it. I mean, there did used to be a time where the vast majority of the videos I used to put out on YouTube were only like 10 or 15 minutes in length, even when my channel was finally enabled for uploads longer than 15 minutes, so, you know, I'd kind of like to bring those times back. Also, I have no idea how that explosion didn't kill me. That explosion, like, grazed me. I should have died from that. Oh, Jesus. Okay, where's that going? Okay, it's just going to the right. It's going to the right and out of sight. That's fine. That's fine. I'm gonna leave that bomb alone for now. Yeah, see, because I don't know why your vehicle suddenly accelerates whenever you shoot something. Like, when you fire a bullet, you see how it just accelerates all of a sudden? I don't know why it does that. Again, you can accelerate manually as well by, you know, up arrow key or enter key or... what was the other key? Or actually, no, you just accelerate manually by pressing the up arrow key, because Z and X and enter are to fire, which also causes you to move upwards for some reason. Like, it pushes you upwards. I feel there's an opportunity for points. Okay, that seems ow. I thought I would be safe if I just moved to the left, but no, I timed that way too early and I ended up getting killed by that explosion. Yeah, see how it starts out very simple, but then eventually the screen just gets cluttered up completely. This is nice. Not that many bombs right here. You can just plan out some moves. You know, you can still destroy bombs anyway, even if they don't come into contact with anything, and you'll still get points from that. You can destroy as many bombs as you want all at a single time. But, you know, if you want to go for those big multipliers, want to get the ultimate... Okay, can I just, like, stop dying here for a minute? As I was saying, if you want to get the ultimate payoff, you know what I mean? Then yeah, you gotta make the vertical bombs destroy the horizontal bombs and vice versa, and then you get all the points after that. Look at that, very good indeed, very nice indeed. Yeah, there really isn't that much else to say about this. I wonder, could I actually get an even bigger speed boost if I move and fire at the same time? This is probably gonna get me killed, but I can at least attempt it. Yeah, it does seem like I move a little bit quick. Oh my god. Yeah, see, another thing that I need to mention here is that if you press the up arrow key, or literally any key on your keyboard, it will also begin the game automatically, and it also resets the game too after you've died. So, because of that, it can be very difficult to see what score you've actually gotten, because if you're, you know, you're not anticipating getting destroyed by an explosion, then you just end up pressing the up arrow key accidentally, and then the game just resets immediately. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that, honestly. I mean, I'm always a fan of games that allow you to restart, like, immediately after you die, but I don't know if I'm okay with that reset key being the up arrow key, or literally any key on my keyboard. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, there really isn't anything more to say about this, though. Eventually, this just gets to a point where there's just so many bombs on the screen and everything's just blowing up all in your face, and it's basically... It becomes nearly impossible to play unless you know exactly what you're doing. So other than that, yeah, there really is nothing else to say about this, so... Yeah, you know what? Maybe I will just accept my fate and just let myself get killed by that explosion, because that's basically it. Yeah, and if the explosions are still going off on the screen, even after you died, you don't get any additional points from those explosions, or those multipliers. So once you die, you're dead for good. You stop obtaining a score after that point, or you stop obtaining more points. Yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about Crisscross Bombs, so it's still a neat little game. But again, it's one of those, like, just one more round kinds of games where it's not really meant to be played in long bursts. This is something that you play for maybe just a few minutes at a time when you're, I don't know, waiting for something to download in the background, like a much larger game or something. Yeah, it's one of those kinds of games. It's something that's meant to be enjoyed in short bursts, and not like over long periods of time, if you know what I mean. Like, play sessions of this game are probably, on average, only gonna last like maybe 10 or 15 minutes and not like an hour. But it's still an interesting little game either way, and it kind of reminds me of Bomberman to some degree. If you want to play it, the link is in the description, and with that being said, I guess we're just gonna move on to the next game now, so let's just go ahead and do it. Right, so this other game is called Satellite Catch. So the premise of this game is that you are in control of a massive green planet that you can control using your mouse. So you actually use the cursor in order to control the main object of this game, or I guess the main vessel, if you want to call it that. So this is another score attack game where the only real objective is to try and get the highest score possible, but the way that you rack up points in this game is that you'll notice that there's these meteors that are exploding in the background, and they are affected by gravity. So what you have to do is that you have to take control of this planet, and all of the meteors are going to be bound to your gravitational pull. So what you have to do is that you have to somehow find a way to make them orbit around you. Like, you have to make them graze as close to the planet as possible without actually having them collide with the planet in order to score points. You need to be careful, though, because the meteors can also combine with other meteors, and when that happens, they'll grow a lot larger, and the much larger meteors can do a lot more damage to your planet. Now, when your planet does take damage, it will shrink a little bit, and if your planet gets annihilated completely, then it's game over. However, your planet will grow back after a few seconds. So, effectively what you can do here is that you can either try and avoid the meteors altogether, or you can try and somehow get them to orbit around the planet by making some very precise movements with your cursor, and you will rack up points from that. Again, it's a lot easier to just show you what I'm talking about, because this is probably the hardest game to explain, actually, so yeah, you see this giant green planet. You notice how all of the meteors are getting attracted towards this giant planet right here. Well, this is exactly what I mean. There, you see that like near miss? Like, you have to basically get near misses on these meteors in order to rack up points. Now, you do still get points even when the meteors collide with your planet, but that's not ideally how you want to be going about this, you know what I mean? Like, that's not the ideal way to be playing this game. Oh my god, what am I doing right now? Yeah, see how I'm shrinking a whole bunch? Because I'm getting annihilated by a bunch of freaking meteors? Also, the meteors are combining with one another, which is also not good. Oh god, please! Okay, the good news at least is that once the meteors do finally get flung off the screen, they do despawn. They won't actually come back to try and annihilate your ass, so, oh my god, dude, what in the world? What is happening right now? Yeah, so it's really a matter of which strategy do you want to be going for here. Like, do you want to be avoiding the meteors altogether? Or do you want to try and go for some, like big brain plays, effectively? This one is more of a matter of your reflexes, because you are controlling the trajectory of this planet with your cursor, because I am moving my cursor around to actually control this giant green planet right here. So it would be a good idea to just avoid all the meteors for a short period of time while your planet is trying to regain all of its mass, but my god, man. See, that's also a problem, because the planet doesn't stop growing either, so then it becomes a lot more difficult to actually avoid all of the meteors here. There we go. Oh my god, I just ran right into it. Ow, please. Please. Holy crap, man. Oh my god, that guy just, like, rebounded right back into me. Yeah, look at this, for goodness sakes. This is honestly one of the more fun games that Kenta Cho has made. Like, one of the more fun browser-based games. Like, Crisscross Bombs is still enjoyable for what it is, but I felt like when I played this game a little bit last night, I got way more enjoyment out of playing this, man, because there's just something about, you know, a game that requires actual reflexes in order to beat. I'm very much a fan of this, and I'm also a fan of any of these games that are, like, gravity-based or physics-based. Yeah, and you can also, like, fling the meteors away, too. And, you know, you can also just, like, avoid them completely as well. It's surprisingly fun for what it is, even if it's, like, so simple on the surface, and there isn't really, you know, that much to the game at the end of the day. I also have no idea why the stars move around in the background, too. You can also cause the background to move around as well by moving your cursor. I mean, yeah, look at this. But ideally, you want the meteors to be coming as close to you as possible without actually hitting you, because that's how you actually obtain points in this game. It's not all about just avoiding the meteors, you have to actually make them orbit around you. That can be very difficult to do at times, especially with the larger ones, because you have to make sure that they don't crash into you. For goodness sakes. But yeah, you can get like some pro dodges in here. Oh my goodness. There we go, that guy was just like weaving in between me. My goodness. Okay, very nice indeed. Yeah, and that's pretty much all there is to say about this particular game, but man, this is surprisingly fun. I don't even know why this is so fun either. Like, this has very quickly become one of my most favorite, like, browser-based games that Kenta Cho has made. I don't know why this is so fun, man, but it just is. You know, avoiding all these meteors with this giant-ass planet right here. I love it. I don't know why I love it, but I just do. Again, this could also be due to the fact that it's also space-themed, because, you know, planets and meteors, and I've already talked about my affinity for everything space-related and astronomy-related in the past. God, I already cannot speak today, holy crap. But my love of this particular game could also possibly extend from, you know, my love for all things space-related and astronomy and, you know, planets and stars and all that, like, nerdy bullcrap that I loved reading up about when I was growing up and still do even today. I want to see if I could possibly get, like, multiple meteors on screen right here. Yeah, also when they just appear and then just like, leave immediately. I don't know why, that also makes me laugh too for some reason. It can also be a little bit nerve-wracking at times as well, especially when the meteors are combining with each other and growing larger. This does kind of remind me in some ways of another browser-based game that I covered in an older randomizer video a few years ago. I think it was called Effing Meteors. That's literally what the game was called. And I think it was a game where you actually had to combine meteors together and then fling them into planets in order to, like, destroy the planet entirely and kill all the like, inhabitants of said planet. Or something along the lines of that, except this is kind of like the opposite, because in this case, you're trying to protect the planet, and the planet keeps on growing larger, but so do the meteors. It still retains that mechanic from Effing Meteors, where all of the meteors can combine, and they end up growing larger, but in this case, you have to actually protect the planet from the meteors. You're not actually controlling the meteors themselves and flinging them into planets. You have to... you're controlling the planet itself, and you have to protect it from, like, literally everything that's getting thrown at it. And again, this is one of those games that can be very easy if you know what you're doing. Like, you know, if you just keep moving the planet away from all these meteors, then yeah, you're pretty much never gonna die as long as you have good reflexes. The only real way you could fail this game is by having, like, momentary errors of judgment, or, like, lapses in judgment. Okay, here we go. Binary system. Look at this, we made a binary system. Oh god, I don't like the binary system, go away. Go away, please, holy crap. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, I don't know why I love this game, but this is just great, man. I just love this. It's a great time waster. That's what it is. Yeah, this is... I don't know why I have, like... You guys can't see it right now, but I just have, like, a massive grin on my face from like, playing this. I've had a massive grin on my face, like, the moment I started playing this game in this video. I don't know what it is about this game, man, but this is just so freaking fun for some reason. I don't know why. Again, it's a good time waster. That's all it is. Unfortunately, I probably won't be playing more of Kenta Cho's games until at least April of 2021, because, like I said before, I don't want my channel to become oversaturated with videos of his games, but my god, man. Kenta Cho has worked on so many different projects in the past 2 decades, and I'm so utterly fascinated by them, man. I'm really glad that I looked more into his back catalog of games after discovering Parsec 47 back in, like, 2013, because, man, he's created, like, so many interesting little projects that are, like, they're very fun to play in, like, short little bursts. I grew up playing a lot of these, like, very bizarre browser-based games as well, like back in the days when Flash was the king of the internet, pretty much. You know, when Flash had a much larger stranglehold on the internet. So these kinds of games really remind me of just how much joy I used to have playing all these, like, these silly little browser-based games on, like, Miniclip or Armor Games. It just takes me back to a simpler time. You know, what with the world being so freaking crazy nowadays, it just reminds me of a simpler time, man. I mean, call me old-fashioned if you want, or call it nostalgia, but I honestly don't think I'll ever get tired of playing these silly little Flash games. I don't think I will ever not get tired of playing these dumb games, because I freaking love them, man. Can't help myself. And it also saddens me knowing that some of these games are not going to be playable anymore very soon, due to the fact that Flash is going to be officially discontinued by the end of the year, which means that in just about 8 or 9 months from now, this little game that you're seeing on screen right here is not even going to be playable anymore, because this was made in Flash, and you're not going to be able to play it within the next few months because Flash is going to be killed off entirely by the end of 2020. So that's very unfortunate, man. So I'm really glad that some people are actually, like, you know, taking the time out of their day to actually try and at least preserve some of the Flash games that used to exist on the internet before, because there's going to be so many games, there's going to be such a large piece of, like, internet history, video game history, that's just going to disappear very soon. So I'm glad that some people are putting in the effort to try and preserve these games as best as they possibly can, because, my goodness, man, I really hope that these games never disappear entirely. I really hope that they continue to live on forever, so that future generations can experience all this wonderfulness for themselves, you know what I mean? They can experience just a simpler time on the internet when people were just making dumb games like this. Even though, again, this game is not that old, this only came out in 2014, but still. The internet was just a much simpler place back then, back when people weren't just, like, arguing with each other on Twitter 24/7. It's a much better time, in my opinion, but anyway, holy crap, okay, well... I took a massive risk trying to orbit that meteor around myself, and it didn't pay off. It did not pay off at all. 3,104. I don't know if that's a good score or not, maybe? I have no idea. But anyway, guys, I'm just kind of letting nostalgia take over my entire mind right now, so I think I'm gonna stop the video here for now, because that's all there is to say about Satellite Catch. This is probably my most favorite game that I've covered today. I don't know why, but there's just something about this game that I just love so much. The elegance, the simplicity, I don't freaking know what it is, but... man, play Satellite Catch if you have the time, because I don't know why, but this game is just so freaking fun, man. It's so addicting. Again, another one of those just one more round kinds of games. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this much shorter, more brief double feature video, because I wanted to see if I could try doing one of those kinds of videos in the double feature format, and I feel like I may have succeeded for the most part. Crisscross Bombs is still a fun game for what it is, but I do kind of feel like it can get a little boring after a while. And I think the reason why I love Satellite Catch so much in particular is because this is a game that is actually based entirely on your reflexes. Like, your success at beating this game, even though you can't really beat it because it doesn't have an ending as far as I'm aware, but this is a game that is based entirely around your skill. Like, it's based around your reflexes, because you have this planet that you control with your cursor, and it's just a matter of, you know, how fast you can move your cursor around to avoid meteors getting flung at you. Again, for people with insanely good reflexes, it can still become a little bit too easy after a while, but man, it's still an absolute delight, and I can't put my finger on it, man, but I just really like this game for some reason. Give Satellite Catch a try if you have the time to, and I mean, everyone's staying at home anyway, so you're probably gonna have a lot of time on your hands, or you probably do have a lot of time on your hands right now, but be sure to give Crisscross Bombs a shot as well, because it has an interesting premise, although I do feel like you could get very tired of that game after a little while. I feel like Satellite Catch has way more replay value. Anyway, those are a couple more of Kenta Cho's games that I wanted to show off to you guys today, and join me back next year in April of 2021 where we take a look at more of his browser-based games, I guess. So again, if you want to play these games, the links are in the description, but just keep in mind that these are all Flash-based games, so you are going to have to enable Flash in your browser first before you can play them, but they are still playable, at least for now, until the end of 2020. I don't know if maybe Kenta Cho will update these games and maybe move them over to HTML5, because some of the browser-based games that Kenta Cho has worked on, they were coded in HTML5, or they were built on HTML5, and to be honest, I'm not really sure why all of his browser-based games that he made in 2014 don't just run on HTML5. Not really sure why he decided to build some of them in Flash and others in HTML5, that's kinda strange. Don't exactly know what the purpose behind that is, but either way, play these games while you still can, because unfortunately they will be disappearing along with Adobe Flash itself very soon, possibly by the end of the year. Anyway, thanks as always for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video I make. Later!